The world is not good or bad. The world is good and bad and beautiful and hurtful and exciting and dull.
How do you see the world? At Augsburg University, our students explore questions like this one daily. They challenge each other to think critically and find new perspectives and solutions to problems that affect us all. We are called Augies. Learn more at augsburg.edu.
Hey, what's going on? It's Steve-O, and welcome to a brand new Murder Monday. Hope you're having a good week. So this murder is about a doctor, an eye doctor, actually, a really well-respected eye surgeon. It's funny just because my wife just found out this week that she has horrible vision. Now, I've known this for a while because she did marry me, but it's funny because a lot of times, like all of us, we think we see something one way, and really it's a totally different way, and especially if you have bad vision, it's totally something that happens. So anyway, I hope you like this brand new Murder Monday, and please continue to subscribe and tell your friends about the show, and please leave a review if you're a fan. And let's get into this brand new Murder Monday. As a graduate from Harvard Medical School, you get to choose almost any path in life. And after graduating with honors in the early 90s, Dr. Brian Stidam began his career in ophthalmology. He was a surgeon specializing in pediatrics. He moved from the Boston area down to Dallas, where he met his wife. In 2001, Dr. Brian Stidam got an offer to move to Tucson, Arizona to work alongside one of the finest eye surgeons in the country. Stidam and his wife visited, fell in love with the beauty of the region, and decided to take the offer to work with a man named Dr. Bradley Schwartz. He was going to join the team at the world-renowned Arizona Specialty Eye Care Center. Dr. Schwartz saw the potential Brian had, hoping to grow his $1 million a year business. Dr. Schwartz was always in the office early, always wore a tie, while Dr. Stidam was a bit more casual. He'd come in a little bit later, wearing a golf shirt. The duo of Dr. Schwartz and Dr. Stidam was successful right away. Dr. Stidam loved kids and understood the importance of making them feel comfortable, especially when it came to eyes and surgery. For Dr. Stidam's birthday, he had colorful hats with cartoon figures made to go with the medical staff's scrubs to make the children feel more comfortable. Dr. Stidam and Schwartz were a great team, and after a year of working together, business was booming. Dr. Stidam was loved by all the patients that visited their Arizona clinic. But after a year of working together, Dr. Stidam decided that the next logical move was to start his own clinic, and by late 2002, he did so. Business and career were going great for Dr. Stidam, as was his personal life. He had children, but that all changed in October of 2004, when someone driving home noticed something strange off to the side of the road. A body. It was Dr. Brian Stidam. He had been stabbed 15 times. But his fractured skull was what killed him. His car had been stolen, a classic carjacking gone bad, but police noticed that he still had his wallet and cash inside. So if this was a robbery, something had gone wrong. A carjacker doesn't usually stick around long enough to stab a victim so many times, when the goal was to steal a vehicle. And while police attempted to put just what happened into focus, a number of strange things began to happen. When police went to speak to his wife, Daphne, before they could tell her what had happened, she asked if he had been shot and if he was dead. And a short time after that, police reportedly saw her looking at an estate planning document. A strange way to grieve, right? The crime scene yielded very few clues. There was no murder weapon or bloody fingerprints. They noticed a partly eaten slice of pizza on the ground. But in less than 24 hours, there was a break in the case. Investigators found Dr. Stidam's Lexus just 6 miles away from the crime scene. There was blood on the outside of the vehicle, as well as the inside of the vehicle. Just hours after Dr. Stidam had been murdered, while visiting with his widow, they asked a number of standard questions. And one of her answers gave this case an unexpected twist. The question? Did your husband have any enemies? The answer to that question, next on Murder Monday. A bright, well-liked pediatric ophthalmologist named Dr. Brian Stidam was stabbed to death in what appeared to be a carjacking gone wrong outside his practice in Tucson, Arizona. Hours after his murder, his wife began to act strange, and when asked by investigators if her husband had any enemies, she was able to come up with only one name: the man that brought them to Tucson in the first place. The one enemy that she knew of? A man that hadn't worked with Dr. Stidam for over 2 years. A man that, as investigators began to dig deeper into his past, found out a number of issues, including a number of extramarital affairs. Dr. Schwartz was the kind of doctor who would tell the employees, "Here comes a GLM, a good-looking mother." He always had a little extra time for those people. It's believed that he had affairs with at least 50 different women who came to his practice. As his practice was growing in the early 2000s, he started having back pain. He began taking Vicodin and ended up getting seriously addicted. So horribly addicted that 4 weeks after Dr. Brian Stidam had started at the practice was raided by the DEA. See, Dr. Schwartz was making out fake prescriptions for Vicodin and then taking it himself. He was found guilty, had his license temporarily suspended, and sent to rehab. During all of this, Dr. Stidam, who was new to the practice, figured it was time for him to get out. So he put in his 30 days. It was 2002, and while Dr. Schwartz was stuck in drug rehab, he thought that Dr. Stidam was out in the open, stealing his patients. By August 2003, his medical license had been reissued, and Schwartz was back trying to rebuild his practice. But now he was divorced and broke, and he was engaged, and his fiancée said that he was obsessed with Dr. Stidam because he felt that was responsible for the failure of his practice. The evening of Dr. Stidam's murder, Dr. Schwartz had an ironclad alibi. See, Dr. Schwartz was cheating again, this time with a woman that he met online. They were at dinner while Dr. Stidam was across town. Police were still unable to get a clear view of just what happened that night until they began talking to the woman Dr. Schwartz was on a date with. The woman's name was Lisa. Lisa says that while she was at dinner with Dr. Schwartz, he got a phone call and said that he had a friend joining them for dinner. The man's name was Bruce. He came to the restaurant, had a glass of wine, then the three left. Bruce rotting in the back seat. Dr. Schwartz made a few stops, including a stop at the ATM, and then told Lisa they needed to find a hotel so Bruce would have a place to stay that night. The next day, Dr. Schwartz called Lisa and told her about the death of his former business partner. Lisa asked if he had something to do with it. Dr. Schwartz says, "No, of course not. You're my alibi." At one point in time, Dr. Schwartz was a well-respected eye surgeon that could work magic, but when it comes to planning a murder, he needed a lot of work. See, because police found out that about an hour before the murder, Dr. Schwartz called a payphone outside of a convenience store, which was across the street from where Dr. Stidam was murdered. The clerk at the store remembers seeing a man that matched the description of that man, Bruce, who showed up for dinner. The convenience store person actually remembers this man wearing scrubs, buying pizza. And thanks to security cam footage from the hotel where Bruce stayed, Dr. Schwartz's employees were able to identify Bruce as a former patient named Ronald Bruce Bigger, who of course had a record. Police were also able to find out that Dr. Schwartz had written a check for $10,000 to Ronald Bruce Bigger. 10 days after the murder, investigators arrested Ronald Bruce Bigger, hiding just outside of Tucson. Later that night, police slapped cuffs on Dr. Bradley Schwartz, who had been at home in bed with yet another woman. Both men were charged with murder and conspiracy. Schwartz, a once prominent doctor who threw it all away because of a misguided sense of revenge, was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. Bruce Bigger, the hired killer, was convicted and is serving life in prison with no chance of parole.